Point just one. There's
Well,
so many to
I'm
choose
trying to
from.
cover. It's such a large base of
That's what I'm saying.
fact deniers that you try to cover your bases. So here's another one. The select subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic looks like it's going RICO. Now, for those of you who went to college, RICO is racketeering influence and corruption organization. You know, the RICO Act is a organized crime act that provides to criminal penalties and civil cause of actions for acts performed as part of an ongoing criminal organization. And they're starting to talk about Fauci here a little bit. You know, the guy that said that he had nothing to do with the Wuhan lab funding and the, gaining.
Well, yeah, he also said that,
You know,
to wear masks, and he
gain
didn't say to wear masks, and
gain
he
of
did
function.
this.
Besides that, he's a terrible pitcher as well. And so, but of course, that's a fact that we have to deny there. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? There's no organized crime going on here, even though there's huge payments from.
Well, I have to clarify.
And,
if you went to college back in the day, probably not modern college, you probably didn't learn about the RICO Act. It probably has a different definition.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm just saying, they probably don't even teach it in college today.
I went to college and I learned about gender studies and other things.
Oh, rainbows.
Yeah, I got a degree
in rainbow allergy.
Yeah, I love rainbows.
Well, it's nice to see that Joe's been paying off
that he has a degree in rainbows.
People's educations now for that. I saw there was a guy this last week that was really thanking Joe Robinette Biden for taking our tax dollars and paying off $19,000 of his student loans. That was great.
That's not called bribery, is it? And ignoring the Supreme Court's not called tyranny either.
No.
Separation of powers equal, but that type of thing where there's supposed to be checks and balances, the sort of thing where one, they did the founding fathers. We didn't want to let one of the parts of the government, executive, legislative, or judicial branch become so powerful that it would overshadow the others and become tyrannical and need a Second Amendment thing going on. Would we?
We wouldn't have a situation where in 5 years' time we're going to have 50 cents of every dollar go to just the principal of of the loan, just paying the interest on the loan.
We deserve it. Yeah, I'm thinking rainbow ship to Gaza is the way to go.
Wow.
I really am. I'm thinking, hey, these guys would look good in a rainbow captain outfit, kind of like the Black Pearl, only different. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It'll be the multicolored pearl.
And everybody will be happy.
We have a guest
happy.
in the studio.
We
better
do.
Stop. She's looking at me kind of weird. We have Dr. Laura Hobbs with us today.
We do.
And we're going to talk about election fact deniers today because anybody that's
misinformation.
There's no fraud anywhere because I was told to say that by, I don't know, somebody named Soros. I still haven't figured out where he's coming from.
It would never happen in Shasta County at all. There's nothing to see here, right?
That's right.
Well, let's just say that it didn't happen. But we're okay with all the rules, so we can't check too, right?
Yeah.
Sure. We don't want to know.
Exactly.
Joanna would tell us the truth.
I like the term election reformers.
Oh,
that's my
election reformers.
Like well, I was kind of throwing stones, not that I throw stones at anybody that is, kind of left leaning or anything, not because they don't deserve it or anything like that, because they've been attacking anybody that disagrees with them for so long, and then they're like, "Oh, you're doing that to me now?" What? Sorry. I'm in a rare mood today,
Anyway, we want to go over some of the stuff that you have located.
Get serious.
Yes, we want to be serious about this, and get the information out there. I'm sure a lot of people have heard some of the information, but it never hurts to go over it. And you said something the other day to me that you have discovered even more things that need to be reviewed.
Yeah. And I just recently got a hold of the precinct or the batch by precinct data. I'd been asking that for almost 2 months now. And Joanna's been withholding documents. She's withholding the cast vote record data. She's withholding the audit log
Do you
data.
think she's doing that just to frustrate you, or there's actually something there that we should be paying attention to?
Does she think you'll go away?
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have anything to hide, then you don't hide anything, right? But these
Good
are
thing.
these are public documents that belong in the public domain. They don't belong to Joanna. These are auditing documents, and
Joanna-
everyone should be able to
Joanna
see them.
Who?
The deputy ROV, sorry,
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Joanna.
Yeah, she's done such a wonderful job. She's done exactly
The one
what she
that's
was told
trying
to do.
maintain her position.
Well, she wants to get elected to Kathy's position.
Yeah.
She wants to step up.
Yep. And I think we can do a lot better than that. She's not transparent. She's not what we need here in Shasta County. She's not aware of the problems, and she's not doing anything
I
to
think
fix
she
them.
might be aware of the problems, but I'm not sure that these people care about being aware of problems. What they care about is maintaining power.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's sad. It really is. But I've met Joanna on several occasions. I was actually a member of the redistricting committee where we came up with a plan, and they completely ignored us back in the moldy days. But so she's cut from the same cloth as Kathy.
Absolutely.
Did she give you a reason why she wasn't producing the records, or she just, excuse me, say anything?
They asked for 2 extensions, which by law you can ask for 1 extension. And then they also said they used the excuse that there were too many records to comb through to fulfill my request, but that's not true. With the cast vote record and the audit log, they come from the Cast Verity machine, or the Heart Verity machine, and you can just export it. It's with the click of a mouse and you're done. You don't have to create a new record. It's already in the
If
system.
it's so cumbersome, how did she count the election?
Yeah, and they use these very same reports to make their final report that they
The
they
election-
certified.
Yeah, they
Would that
official
be in
report.
their normal stuff to have in their normal reports?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
So,
Being a doctor, I guess you just won't understand anything.
well, I do have experience looking at large data sets, so I wasn't intimidated. Apparently, that's not something they do over in the elections office, though, because I asked her if she did analyze the audit log data before certifying, and she said no.
So what are we going to do about all this? I mean, we hear a lot about what's happening. We hear about a lot of the problems, about a lot of the COVID stuff. And is it my understanding that all of the rules that they changed after the COVID pandemic are they still all in place?
Yeah, that's the problem. They used COVID to say we had to go to mail-in balloting for everybody instead of the restricted, limited absentee balloting. And Gavin Newsom did that. So the November 2020 election was all mail-in. Before that, we only had restricted, limited absentee. And that's what we need to go back to, because we're not in a COVID crisis. The legislature did go through and codify Newsom's emergency order, but at this point, we absolutely need to change back to the limited absentee, because what happens when you have those mail-in ballots, and I'm urging everybody to use to just get rid of that envelope, to boycott the envelope,
So then
because
just go down and vote in person?
yep,
And get
don't-
a new ballot.
and don't even bring your mail-in ballot with you, because if you do it that way, then what happens is it has to be signature verified. It could possibly be challenged, and you don't want that. And then another thing is it's not counted that night. It gets put in a stack of ballots that need to be opened,
The
and
ones that are mailed in.
Mailed in, yeah.
or dropped off at the precinct on election night. Same thing.
So the ones that get counted are the ones that you do go in there on election day and actually vote at that point by having them give you a fresh ballot.
Yep. But don't put it in an envelope, because if it gets in an envelope, it's not counted that night.
Well, and I thought that they always say, oh, well, you need to give you a provisional if you don't have your ballot.
No, they don't. They don't do that now. I know that in the past they did, and a lot of people are confused about that. But you can sign in. You go there and sign in.
Show them ID.
Well, I think you should show them ID. They won't look at it, but that's another story. So you sign in, and then you've crossed through all the checkpoints. You're at that point, your ballot will be counted that night. If you mail it in or if you drop it off in an envelope, it won't be counted that night. It takes days for them.
Well, isn't that kind of how we think that they're cheating? If they're cheating, is that they get the totals to see how much they need before they start, getting to the point where
Well-
they count the ballots correctly?
Yeah, and it's always bothered me here, and it doesn't happen in a lot of places. Is they say, "Oh, we're gonna count on Tuesday, Wednesday, and we'll give you the results on Friday." And it takes
Yeah.
them like 3 weeks, 3 different times. It's like the
That's-
dumps.
Yep.
It's like, why in the hell does it take these dumps? Why do we do it that way?
Well, it's an artifact of doing all mail-in balloting. The same thing happened in Oregon. They were the first state to go to all mail-in balloting, and they went from having results on the same night to having to wait weeks to months to get results. And it's because of the system. It's a broken system.
Do you think that the Board of Supervisors can do anything to straighten this out at all?
Absolutely, they can. They can write local ordinances, and they should. And I feel like even if we get the best ROV possible out there, which I think they'll select a good one, I'm hoping. But even if they get the best one, they still have to do the work to back them up and to write these local ordinances to give them the framework to say, hey, we're gonna follow the local election law here and not the state election law.
Yeah, because I keep getting, when you go to the Board of Supervisors meeting, I've been lacking because of our work. The last couple months, we just can't do it. We've got to be doing. But
Yeah.
as soon as work frees up, I'm starting to go back to the meetings and checking things out. But I noticed that you've always got the peanut gallery up there yelling like they're the majority. Is that true? Are they the majority?
No, definitely not.
Then why? Then how can we get a 68% vote for our board, our ROV in this county?
Well, she presided over her own elections, so that's how.
You think there's
Yeah,
a problem?
I can't trust those results. I looked at the cast vote record data on that election, the June 2022 election, and it showed the Mesa pattern of fraud, where instead of having a natural pattern where you see a lot of variation in the beginning and it settles out to a flat line, what you saw in her election against Bob Holsinger was you had a little variation and then it just gradually climbed up to the final set point, which you just don't see that after tens of 20,000 votes have been counted.
Some of it just doesn't make sense to me because it seems like the big positions in the county that are, maintained by Democrats all stayed the same under these circumstances. And for me, that doesn't make sense. And then when you compound that with no ability to check the actual data,
Mhm.
Well,
And
when-
Joanna just destroyed that data from that election, the primary of 2022.
Yeah, then when you go pull information, your percentages for Democrat and Republicans in the county, it doesn't jive.
well, there could be there could be an explanation for that. There could be the fact that the Democrats are registering as Republicans, so that it looks like the demographics are more Republican than Democrat. I mean, that's how they do it in a lot of places.
Well,
don't
yeah, they could, but
That's not the pulse. That's not the feeling I get for the people on the ground, knocking on doors and whatnot. I say we are a conservative county. Most of the people I spoke to were conservatives and had questions about the accuracy of our elections.
Really? So why do we keep ending up with Democrats in charge of everything?
Well, if they control counting the votes, then they control the outcomes.
I guess we're back to the Stalin
Yeah.
theory. Who counts votes gets to win votes.
So this kind of gets me back to the movie that came out recently, Let My People Go. And it gets back to the voting that's on that. If you haven't seen it, it's on the Rumble
I
channel.
meaning
And,
to watch that. I just haven't
yeah,
got to it.
we
yet.
talked about it a little bit, but it's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
and when we're on a movie, I just have to say it as a disclaimer: finding the money. We talked about that
Oh.
last week. That's a hard pass. It's a left wing.
Yeah,
Oh,
you don't
like-
even get to door number 1, so forget it.
Yeah,
But
just
go ahead.
don't pay the money. It's a garbage movie.
versus you have this other movie where the guy, he actually asked everybody who is a content creator regardless of right or left, he asked them to put it on their show because he got depersoned. They took away his credit cards, they took away his banking, they took away all the money that he had made from the movie originally, and he asked that everybody get it out and it become the most bootleg movie in America. So, based upon some of the assertions that we saw there, is that these voting machines are rigged. They can actually print on the ballots, which is one of the reasons why they wanted felt markers rather than using like a blue ball pen. They discussed the fact that they were actually figuring out ahead of time how many votes that they needed. It's a very good, probably about 2 hour, 20-minute watch. You can find it on the Gateway Pundit did it. I have it on my Rumble channel on rumble.com/fires. And you can find it there. But that's kind of where I'm at on this is how do we change this now moving forwards?
Well, I think the only way we can change it is locally, and that's why I got involved in politics locally. It has to do with our board of supervisors, people, actually individuals, people who haven't been involved in politics before, getting up and standing up, going to the board meetings, making their opinions known as far as elections, and demanding that we have fair and accurate elections. I don't think we can do it any other way. On the national level, it's just too much. It's too overwhelming of a task.
Could we have not certified? I have a hard time with this, that they always say, well, we had to certify it. Why do you have to certify it if you think that there's a problem with it? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why they should have certified it. I don't see a good justification for it. In fact, I'm really disappointed that they went ahead and did so. The board of supervisors.
Yeah, they could have said, no, we're not going to certify it right now. We need to look at the records more or something like that, couldn't they?
Yep, certainly.
So why do you think they did certify it? Because of pressure?
I don't really have a good justification for that. I don't understand their reasoning there. And I was thinking that if Kevin had lost, then he would probably go ahead and certify it because he didn't want to be seen as a sore loser. I figured that the fact that he overcame the recall, that he might actually not certify it on the basis of what we've seen as far as the data.
So who certified it? Who? I know it wasn't a majority. I mean, it was a majority vote. It wasn't a unanimous decision. Who did certify it?
Everyone voted to certify except for Patrick Jones.
Yeah. That's always bothered me because we've had this in previous elections too. And they go, well, why are you certifying it?
Right.
You know, why would you go there if you think that there's some foul play, or even if there's not? If the people want to look at the records, then why would you go ahead? Because my understanding, once you certify, it's not like you can go open them back up, right? Am I correct in that? Do you know? Yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact laws on that. I know that they do. Are you talking about boxing away the ballots and sealing everything up?
Yeah.
Yeah. But hopefully, I have a case right now that's going to be heard soon. And my election, if people don't know, was decided by 14 votes. So my opponent avoided a runoff with me in November by 14 votes. And so my case brings up all of these abnormalities that I've seen and witnessed.
So you might still be in the running if you can show that there is some miscounting or something that didn't add up to the proper ballots.
Yeah, so there's a chance. I mean, what we would ask the judge is simply to allow me to go on to the November race for a runoff with Alan Long.
So they did a recount on the recall before it was called, but they didn't do any on your race, and there was a difference of 14 votes.
Yeah, they did recount some of my race. They basically counted 100% of the District 1 race that was there at that time.
Isn't Alan Long a Democrat?
He basically is. If you listen to,
does he espouse to be a Democrat, or does he say he's a conservative?
I think that technically he's registered not as a Democrat, but if you listen to the content of how he feels on different issues, it's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot of the way these guys get elected too. They say they're one thing and they talk another.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what he did, but I'm always curious as to figure out why a conservative county as ours, are they just disconnected, or is it just all about the cheating? I'm trying to, reconcile in my mind how this keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah.
Because they don't allow us to look at the records and open it up. They're not transparent.
Well, and I think it gets back to the point. All right, so we ended up getting rid of the Dominion voting machines up here. We ended up going to a hand count, and then by executive order, Gavin Newsom said you can't hand count. Like that doesn't seem transparent. It doesn't seem at all like we have any real say in our elections, especially as our counties go. And then you look at it. Okay, so you've got people that have questions. You have people that have doubts. Why can't we have an independent audit on the votes to show whether or not it was legitimate?
Well,
or
and I
not?
don't trust the machines, period, because the machines, I've seen too much data across the board, across the country, that says that there's faulty machines. I mean, the DeKalb, I always think of the DeKalb, Georgia incident where the lady challenged it because she was the only person in her, that nobody voted for her in her district. And she's like, well, I voted for myself.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
didn't count her vote for herself. So she's like, there's no way this is right. So she opened it back up. And then upon opening it back up and going through all the votes and hand counting everything, turns out she won.
Mm-hmm.
So that was enough for me. Now I don't trust these things anymore because I don't know whether it's by design or it's just faulty or, somebody else is controlling it. The modem thing. Oh, they can't hook up to the internet. Well, we know that's BS. And that came right out of Kathy's mouth. Oh, you can't hook them up. They don't have a place to. Nobody has wireless technology. Is anybody here hooked up to a modem at this point right now?
Well, and that's addressed in that Let People Go movie pretty considerably throughout it. I mean, it's once you see that, you're pretty well black-pilled on our election systems. And let's just think about this
I
logically.
don't want a black pill. I want a red pill.
Let's think about this logically, okay? Out of all of the candidates that we have in the entirety of the United States, we've got a guy with dementia, pretty severe, pretty obvious. We've got a guy
He won a
that's-
free and fair election and got the most votes in history of any president ever.
right? So you've got a guy that is, once again, from one of the considered families that is always there. You got one of the RFK people that's now here.
We have
and
to.
you
Go
got
to a
Trump.
break.
That's who we've got for the entirety of the nation.
We have to go to a
We're
break.
gonna go to a break.
You need to take a green pill. And
Well, he doesn't like green. And with that, if you want to call in and have a question or comment for our guests, give us a call, 530-605-4567. This is KCNR 1460 AM and 96.5 FM.
soul, but I'll keep you alive. Do what he says, not what he do, 'cause the truth is for him and the lie is for you. Sad little man, but he's treated like a god, as the faithless pray to a fake and a fraud. Worship the man, pledge to his word. One shot, two shot, now you get a third. Sad little man, you better run now while you know you can. Sad little man, you don't fool me, you sad little man. Sad little man, gonna trap you like a dog, put your head in a net while they eat you raw. Don't ask why, just comply, 'cause fear is the drug that the doctor prescribed. Sad little man, you can watch him on the news, preaching to his choir while they learn the rules. Some feel safe and some feel healed, but they'll all hold his hand as he makes the kill. Sad little man, you better run now while you know.
Yeah. So like we need a new verse for that. It's called the Rico statue line. Sad little man in the Rico in hand. Something that was about Fauci, in case you didn't know, because we do have a few Marxist meatheads out there that do listen. It's pretty obvious that they do. They have a hard time understanding. If we could do this in some hand signals in Braille or something, or some kind of we should have some kind of a outlet where we could actually mix up the letters.
No, it's at this point it's got to be Neuralink. You got to jack them in, be able to kind of upload a different system to them. I feel like the operating system, when it's corrupted, it's gone.
So we could change our name. We could change our name to Sovereign Borgs.
Wow.
Could work.
Yeah, I have been.
That's what they'd like to do to us.
I have been
I think
assimilated. We are
do like
we
they
are one.
Did in The Simpsons, where they hook them all up to the electric current thing, and then when they hit the button, yeah, exactly.
Ouch, stop that!
Yeah,
Don't.
I'm just saying.
Where were we?
I know you want to go over a few more things, Laura,
Yeah,
about
well,
what-
just go in a little bit into what I've seen in the data in the audit logs. So there's you can sort the audit log by category, like batch created, batch saved, and batch discarded. So I, of course, was interested in the discarded batch area, because why do you discard a batch?
right, yeah.
How? What? I mean, why would there be any discards if they're all legitimate voter rolls? And what are the discards? Is that fake
Yeah, so-
ballots? Is
no,
that
that-
is that people that aren't supposed to be there or were registered? They moved?
Double ballot.
Double ballots. What is it?
So basically what it is if the scanner makes a mistake, they have to rescan the whole batch, right? So occasionally that's going to happen.
Sure.
But in that case, you have the same precinct number and you have the same user name and you have the same tabulator, because it's just a rerun of the same batch, right?
So it would be easy to track who was doing it, is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. And so what I'm finding is there's one category, that's the legitimate reruns that I just explained, the same precinct, same user, same tabulator. But then there's another category of wrongfully discarded batches. These are batches that have a different tabulator, a different user, a different precinct number, and they're assigned the same batch number, and then they're basically a duplicate, and they get discarded. They go from a duplicate to being a discarded batch.
So why would you have discarded ballots and duplicates in
Yeah.
the first place? I get it. Would that kind of make your numbers skewed at some point?
Well, yeah, we're looking at upwards of 6,000 votes that got discarded.
Counted once and then discarded? Is that what you just said?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I don't like what the results are,
Possibly.
or I really like the results.
Yeah. It's impossible to tell the content of those votes that were discarded. But that's one of the serious concerns I have.
Those are not destroyed. Those are destroyed.
What happens when they scan them is they just scan the whole batch, and then they put a paper tape around it and they stick it in a cardboard box. So that cardboard box then, like we said, gets sealed up, shut, and put away and never to be seen again. So unless there's actually somebody there watching that batch having been scanned, it's as if it never even existed. And the way that you can kind of uncover this is by looking at the audit log file and seeing that, because every time a keystroke is made, there's a record of it in the audit log file. So this is an auditing document, which they're now withholding from me. They gave me, the most current one I have is up to March 22nd, but they continue to count it even up until March 28th, which is when the election was certified. So I need the complete audit log file.
Well, especially when you're only 14 votes away. I mean, it's
Exactly.
all right. We're going to give you this much data, but we're going to exclude everything else that we have. Once again, there's no transparency in this process. And when you go back and you look at that movie, you actually have a passcode. That's an admin passcode that you can go through and you can effectively swap votes around, completely change the outcome of it, and there's no history of it. You can effectively...
We saw that with the meeting that was here in Reading as well with the doctor. I'm trying to think of his name right off the
Clint Curtis.
Curtis, thank you. So this evidently is pretty common knowledge with the people who program and make these machines.
Yes.
Well, it was apparently a whistleblower from the actual manufacturers of the machines themselves, somebody who was actually pretty high up in the process of making these said machines, who just pulled the plug on it. He's like, dude, we don't have any fair elections.
Right, and then they showed where it would fill in the box or the bubble or whatever you want to call it, and it'd be exactly the same on multiple ballots.
It'll
automatically.
print your incomplete
It
ballots.
would, yeah.
I mean, it's easy to fix this.
Why do you have printers built into voting tabulators?
This is so easy to
Yeah.
fix. Voting on one day, except for absentee ballots for veterans or whoever's out of the country or something. Show ID. You might even want to put a fingerprint on something to prove that it's you, and paper ballots and hand counting. That's it. And why would anybody, if that's so reliable? And we even had Kathy. I never think of her name. It's at Allen Darling or Darling Allen. I think it's-
Whatever.
Kathy Allen.
Kathy Allen.
She's not a darling in my book, but Kathy Allen. Thank you. And I asked her point blank right here in the studio. I says, voter ID for or against. She wouldn't answer. Now she says, well, that'll never fly. I don't care if it'll fly. I'm asking you, your opinion. Voter ID. Do you think voter ID should be a requirement or not? She wouldn't answer the question. So that tells you, if she was for it, she would say yes. I would. So it tells you she's against it. There's no question about it. So why would you be as in that position against people proving that they're entitled to vote as a legitimate citizen in Shasta County or any other county for that matter?
There's no reason. I mean, if you want fair and transparent elections, you have to start at the beginning, which is the voter rolls and the eligibility to vote. And that's, if you don't fit that basic requirement, you shouldn't be casting a vote.
Well, I think we
and
go
your
back
vote
to
shouldn't
the
be
whole
counted.
thing from the whole premise of the show from the beginning. These guys don't care about right. They care about power. They don't care about the truth. They care about doing and getting the results that they want no matter what. It doesn't matter how many bodies are left in a trail behind them. They don't care. What they care about is maintaining power. That's
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
And did you hear about the recent Texas court case that went before the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court?
I haven't heard
And
which one you're talking about.
Well, the state of Texas was trying to argue that doing mail-in balloting was necessary because minorities can't make it to the polls in time and all this stuff. And the Supreme Court just shut that down. They said,
That's
no,
good.
there's no argument here. There's
Well,
no
it's the-
reason to go to
it's-
all
it-
mail-in balloting.
It's the same with the ID. Oh, well, we don't want to disenfranchise the ethnic voters or any of the poor people, but they don't need ID to go to get food stamps or go to the grocery store or drive a car or
Buy alcohol.
buy alcohol. They don't need any of that. So they're just too stupid for all that other stuff. So, but they couldn't get an ID to vote because, I mean, and who are we talking about? If that's the
whole argument is racist on the premise.
it's so
you know?
stupid. It's pure stupid. What are there? 3 guys in an internment camp down there somewhere that can't get ID to vote? Well, you don't want them voting to begin with because they're too stupid.
And the Secretary of State, Shirley Weber, wouldn't let me into her building down in Sacramento without showing my ID. So there you go.
Really? So
should
really.
yeah.
You should have came up and said, "Hey, Mingai, let me in." You see,
He should have.
Well, and meanwhile, though, that's
where's
going
my
on.
where's my check?
I should have paid attention.
This came out 23 hours ago. Seems a little pertinent. Digital ID regulations start this month, mandatory by 2026. Now, this is for the Europeans' latest set of digital ID rules. The rule on May 20th, big tech firms and EU member nations must now comply in supporting the EU digital identity wallet.
What they'll do by then, before they get there, they'll make a world community of voters for everybody. It's kind of like what
Well,
they're
that's basically what we have with
Yeah,
the open
yeah.
borders, right?
Yeah, open the borders. Let all the poor people through. First we'll forgive all the student loan debt and bribe them, and then we'll give all the guys coming over the border checks and free food and whatever, and they'll vote for us. And so it doesn't really matter. We'll just be a big community of fun-loving people. And even though we don't understand or assimilate into America based on constitutional precepts so that we all stay free, that's not a problem.
And if you go back to like the movie, I go back to the paper. I didn't realize it's supposed to be on special paper. Out of Canada is one of the only places to get the paper for the ballots. But for all the mail-in here, I mean, how hard is it just to, print it and mark it and throw it in the box?
Yeah, and that was a feature of the Dominion machine that you could turn on or off. So apparently they had it turned off, so they weren't checking
Exactly,
the source
yeah.
of the paper.
Yeah, the machine will actually detect clear down to the paper, and they turned it off so they didn't know if it was the unique
So
paper or not.
everything they've done in every conceivable way that I can see is to make it easier to cheat.
Yep, and the problem is they're codifying the cheat right now down in Sacramento. Is they're making laws every single day. Right now, they're making a law to say that the audit logs and the precinct number and batch numbers should not be shared with the public.
Wow.
So it's
'Cause
so
not about
blatant.
it's not about a fair election. It's about control. It's about power always.
Yep, it absolutely is. And they've been making laws like this against us for decades, but right now it's really heated up and it's retaliatory in nature because they're basically retaliating against Shasta County for ending the Dominion contract.
Oh, gee, we wanted free and fair elections that were based on the actual voters in the county that are registered and citizens that want to be constitutional and have their values reflected in their elected officials. That's terrible.
So
Can't have that.
you have stepped up to the plate and you are actually suing?
Yes, so the way the law is written, I have to list my opponent as the defendant in the case. And Kathy Allen is also listed as a co-defendant in this case. And because Kathy Allen is she was listed in her duties as a county official, the county is representing her. And I believe they're also representing Alan Long.
Oh, really? Interesting. So you're going to take them to court on some different stuff that they haven't produced, or
So one of the issues is what I just talked about the discarded batches. There's other elements of the argument. One of the big issues is that they're supposed to be following the random alphabet drawing by the Secretary of State. So the person who's listed first on the ballot for each race gets a 5% advantage. And
They didn't do that. They didn't put you first.
they
on the
didn't put
ballot.
me. Yeah, they were based on this random alphabet drawing that the Secretary of State sends to all the counties, and there's a mandatory law saying you must. I think it's the law is 13.112 says you have to follow this this order, and they didn't follow that order. So
And that order gives you a semi advantage, and that could have been surmounted.
well,
Yeah,
there's
in
only
my
a
case,
14
Could've got the
vote
14
difference.
votes.
Yeah.
a 5% advantage for me would have amounted to about 500 votes. So that could have put me up to the point where.
So
I
what are
went
the
on to runoff.
penalties if you win? What do they do?
If I
If you win, is there any thing that's going to make you whole here? Is there something that's going to remedy this?
The remedy would just be going on to the November election. I think
On the ballot.
On the ballot, yeah, that would be
Well, that
the
seems
most
fair.
expedient way to remedy.
Excuse me. That seems like a fair result. Do you have an attorney? You doing this yourself?
I have an attorney, and he signed on to the case just recently. So he'll be taking what I've submitted and putting it into the proper procedural format, legalese, and so that's
And he's
coming up.
cheap, right?
He's not cheap, so if you want to donate, you're welcome to donate. You can go to my website.
How do they do
Yeah.
that?
My website is votelaurahobbs.com, and you can click on the donate button there. And you can also check out some of my material I have on shastavote.org. You can find the election commission's reports that I've done, as well as other reports, the report to the sheriff about the 2022 election, some other elections there.
I have to say, you're the first person that I've known that stepped up to take on the task of a suit against him, which is wonderful. Like you say, if the information they're presenting or not is true, if they're not even following the guidelines from the state, like with that one thing, what else are they doing? I mean, it's just a lot
Yep.
to be questioned about what the hell they're doing over there.
Exactly.
Well, and there's no transparency. That's been the big thing for me
Yeah.
continually. You ask for transparency. You have legal requirements that they need to be transparent. They need to be able to have these documents that are stored for 2 years. They don't let anybody look at them. They don't let anybody see anything throughout the process. And then we're expected to just believe the results. It's trust me, bro.
Yeah, and they pick and choose which laws they follow over there.
Yep. They use the gray area to their advantage as well. So some of the stuff is not directly violating laws. Other stuff is a direct violation of law, and that's basically what my court case will be about.
Some
I'm having trouble getting to the website for some reason.
VoteLauraHobbs.com.
That's what I got.
Okay.
I'm not sure why.
I didn't try it.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can bring it up. It is. Yeah, it looks like it's having an issue as far as bringing it up. Oh, there it goes.
let me see. I'm
Is
gonna
it
try.
the internet here?
I'm gonna try another browser here and see what happens. But
VOTELAURAHOBBS.
say, do it again. VOTE what?
VOTELAURAHOBBS.com.
That's what I got. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, on my phone now. I couldn't get it.
And it seems like it has a redirect on it.
But
Yeah,
anyhow,
it's-
what else would you like to get out? We've got a few minutes yet. That some more stuff to go.
Could I speak about the Elections Commission?
Sure.
Because I don't know if you're all aware, but our supervisors, Tim Garman and Mary Rickard, decided not to reappoint the vacancy in the Elections Commission. And that was basically a protest vote, because as long as you have 3 members on the Election Commission, they can still meet. They have a quorum. And they've spoken publicly that they don't see the value in that commission. And so they don't support it. And that's why they're not reappointing. But
Okay.
unfortunately, it's looking like Chairman Cry is also delaying the appointment, because now, most recently, Lisa Michaud has stepped down.
Yeah.
Michaud. And so basically now at this point, the commission can't even meet. And I think that's a big disservice to the community.
What did the election committee do?
Commission.
Well, they had some false starts. There's been a lot of people working against them. A lot of things, were changed by people working behind the scenes that kind of slowed them. So they had a slow start, but they have accomplished good things. They sent out the recommendations to the board for hand counting at the precincts using paper poll books. And if you guys haven't read that, I highly recommend it. It's a very good document, and it's available on shastavote.com. Shastavote.com, sorry.
That's
um,
okay.
And you can read that there. So they're doing good stuff for the community. It's also a pressure release valve. People from the community that have had poor experiences at the ROV as observers, or just as people trying to vote, they can go there and talk and voice their concerns. Because at the Board of Supervisors meeting, sometimes you only get 3 minutes, and you can only say so much. So
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to get all the information out or your concern out.
Yeah,
in 3
so
minutes.
so I'm urging people to let Kevin Cry know that they want somebody appointed right away, so that no further meetings have to be canceled.
So are there any does somebody have to volunteer for that position? Or-
I think a number of people have volunteered, but it'd be good to get someone who's definitely committed and not just going to step down in another couple weeks or a month.
But they have to be from that district, correct?
Actually,
no?
no, they don't.
Oh, really?
So
I
if
didn't know
you're
that.
interested, let Kevin Cry know.
Okay. I thought it was that you had to be in his district for him to appoint you to the commission, but that's good to know. Yeah.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people out there that could.
Could do it.
Yeah. I mean, it is important because usually what a commission does is give you the pros and cons or the concerns of the community on a subject, whether it's, old people or children or the voting or any of that. That's
I'm having
Yep.
issues with the internet, I guess, today for some reasons. Just trying to get there. My problem is I don't have enough time anymore to do anything, and that's a lot of people's
Yeah.
problem. They're working so hard
Mm-hmm.
to try
Yeah.
to just make ends meet that it's
Yeah.
getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Food prices going up, the non-existent inflation seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But you would think that even the people on the left would want to maybe be appointed in that position, since they're always saying that there's nothing wrong with the elections. There's, everything's good. They're transparent. You would think that somebody would on the left
Yeah.
want to be on the commission as well. I'm just saying.
It should be a nonpartisan issue.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone wants to know that
You'd
their
thi-
vote is
Yeah.
accurately counted.
you would think.
You would think.
It doesn't really matter, though, if you're on the left and your votes are being double counted in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Maybe that's why they don't want to be on there. But
I
yeah.
don't know, just saying, I don't know. I mean,
Well, I think it gets back to the fact that a lot of it is we have an issue with all of these people that are I think appointed. When you start looking at it, you start seeing the
selections instead of elections. Is that what you're saying?
exactly
Yeah.
when your votes, you can all vote for this as long as it's what I want. That's what we've been seeing over and over and over again. That's
Well,
what we're seeing right now at the law fair.
We got about a couple
Yeah.
minutes left. We better let Laura try to get as much as she can out there right now. Before
So
we cut off.
again, how do they support you? When do you go to court and those things?
Okay, so my first hearing is going to be on May 20th at 9 a.m. in room 64 on the 6th floor. And you're welcome to attend. This is just to set the hearing date, though. It's not going to be the actual hearing. And you can support me on my website, votelaurahobbs.com. I'm also urging people to ban the envelope come November. Don't use the envelope. Just vote in person on election day without an envelope. Leave your mail-in ballot at home. Yeah, I think
Can
that
they
we've
call
covered a
you?
lot.
Do you have a phone number?
Yeah, you
or
can call me 805-710-4905. Call me and I can give you my address. You can send a check through the mail as well.
I finally got the website up. I haven't got Just a Vote up yet, but I'm not sure what's going on here. But I do see your website here at votelaurahobbs.com. And I'm looking for a way to. Okay, so there's a button that says donate, and then that's coming up 403 Forbidden. So I think you should probably give the phone number and maybe an email address to get a hold of you as well. Might be a better way to go.
Okay.
And then go check your
805.
805-710-4905. And my email is dr.laurahobbs@protonmail.com. Dr. Laura Hobbs at protonmail.com.
All right, very
Cool.
good.
Well, thanks for coming in. And when you dig up more information, or when you get your court date and stuff, please let us know so we can get out there and so people can
we'll
help
have you back
support
on
you.
and go over
Okay,
all
thank
the
you
Yeah,
so
stuff.
much. I
you bet.
appreciate that.
Happy
Appreciate
Mother's
you
Day.
coming
Thanks for having me. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
All right, I guess we're at the end of the show. Another week has gone by, and remember, government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force, and force like fire is the danger servant and a fearful master.
All gun controls racist. See y'all next week and
See you
happy
next
Mother's
week.
Day.
I am just a simple man